nachos, amigos, and welcome to Record Breakers, our music podcast where a group of friends gather together to share music with each other, an album at a time. It's like a little book club for music. I'm Petey Rave, and I am a somewhat free human being, maybe. Here with me is my team, my squad, my crew. We've got David.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Record Breakers.
Mm-hmm. We've got Drew. Drew's muted.
There's a swing and a miss from Drew, who has his microphone mic
his
muted.
microphone is muted. That's Drew over, as Pat Tabler repeats. Yeah.
2-0.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was just shit talking Trevor Bauer. So.
Yeah.
Oh, whoa.
Bauer's having a tough time.
Whoa.
Looks like he might be taken out.
Anna. Whoa. Anna. Whoa.
Anna!
Whoa.
Are you allowed to say shit on Twitch, or can I not mention his name?
Yes. And of course, last but not least, we have Brett.
Oh, hey. How's it going, guys? Yes.
Yes.
I'm here to bring you some music today.
Yes. We're here. We're
Hey,
hanging out.
everybody.
We're here.
We're here to say Brett's going to give you some music today.
Yeah. We're here to talk about an album. We're here to talk about music, and the provider of the album this week, like you said, is Brett. Brett, what have you brought for us this week? What have you done?
So you know the Gordon Lightfoot song, the Wreck of the Edmunds Fitzgerald? I brought that, but heavy metal. So we've got some Number of the Beast by Iron Maiden.
Yeah. Let's talk about expectations with this. Drew, what expectations did you have coming into this album?
Well, it's Iron fucking Maiden, so I had that expectation. Power metal, lots of yells, lots of awesome guitar, probably ridiculous cartoony lyrics. You know, things that Iron Maiden do.
Maiden. David, what were your expectations coming into this album?
Strike at the knees on the outside corner. 2-1. I would say that on this episode of the Record Breakers podcast, it might be my turn to get people mad online at me, at ya boy. Yes, all of the things Drew just said. Iron Maiden, I said on a previous episode, is one of those groups that I've always respected and appreciated for their influence on genres and acts that I really like, more than appreciating themselves. But I've always respected them. Talent is there, the songs are fine, but they've never really blown me away, especially even in comparison to some of their contemporaries like Judas Priest, Diamond Head, any other bands from the new wave of British heavy metal. They're good, but they've never really kind of wowed me. I kind of put them in that same category as Led Zeppelin, where, yeah, I know they're hugely influential. They've sold 1 billion copies. They're probably all billionaires, and they're one of the most influential acts in heavy metal ever, but it just never really quite clicked for me 100%.
Whoa, sick burn. You guys are so bad, you're like Led Zeppelin.
Yeah. I just...
Look at us. Bruce is going to be crying in his pillow in his airplane somewhere.
No, I'm really shooting hard.
Yeah. Hot takes.
Yeah,
Comparing
Bruce
him to some real
Dickinson, when
garbo with the Zeppelin
volcanic takes.
Bruce Dickinson's going to tune in the Record Breakers next week.
I guess, long story short, they're all right.
Yeah.
They're all right. Not my favorite, but they're all right.
Yeah. I had some expectations. I figured I was going to have some fun.
Petey's a big fan of West Ham, so
yeah. I'm more of an Arsenal fan. I'm a gooner.
You fly charter planes, Petey.
No. That you know of.
Yeah.
But I'm familiar with Iron Maiden through songs and soundtracks and through the milieu and things like that. I can't remember the last time I sat down and just like nose to tip listen to an Iron Maiden album.
On Twitch.
We'll find out. But I was intrigued. See, I'm very intrigued. So we'll talk about this album. Brett, how would you describe this album musically?
It's a bunch of heavy metal ballads. Like every song is a story. It is all sung in it's sometimes it is a ballad sung in first person, but none of these are from the perspective of Bruce. So like that's one thing. Lyrically, it's story time. And like, yeah, you can kind of figure out, okay, what were the guys in Iron Maiden reading recently? Okay, some history books. Okay, there's no songs about flying airplanes in this one. You know, it's when it comes to this album, this is the second one I go to. I've literally with the show, I brought Power Slave before, which is something that is my go-to with them. But this is probably their most well-known work, where you get the most of the Iron Maiden things that you come for. The meat and potatoes of Iron Maiden is some vocal gymnastics from Bruce. You get the bass guitar gallop. This is literally the bass guitar gallop with Run to the Hills. It's the gallop with the bass, that triplet, like with that's driving all the way. And you get a little bit in this some really great early 80s, like before there was Mega Man, there was Iron Maiden, and the guys who made the music for Mega Man heard Iron Maiden, and it's there. It's like and not only that, there are some guitar solos that you could put on a harpsichord. Like this is very strange stuff, but it has some of the like I will with a visual aid. I live the life. I do the thing.
For the audio listeners out there, Brett just pulled a Marshall amp into.
I play a JCM 800 from the mid '80s. This is my go-to when I think of like what is amazing heavy metal tone. Like this is it. Like it's not. There are a lot of people that sound very similar, but this is before my JCM 800 era. This is right before that people started switching over to this. So this is like. They're using literally the amplifiers that classic rock was made on. Like there's plexis, there's like the stuff that Hendrix played on that are like there are 60s amplifiers that have been used with these guys. They had been around forever by this time. But this is like somehow like, and I've looked at a PDF on the gear page that was extremely detailed, but like they're running multiple amplifiers at the same time. But like at the end of the day, like that's the grit of the 80s. It's the tone, the Marshall, the saturated sound. I think there's like a tube screamer in front of it to make it even a little more hot going in the front. But like the guitar tone is great. It's playing third fiddle. Like Bruce Dickinson's voice and the bass guitar make this album different. Like I'm married to a Judas Priest fan. That's a contentious. There's a delightful gayness about Judas Priest that you're not gonna get here. Halford's voice is I put them pretty close together, but like you don't get the bass guitar in Judas Priest like you get in Maiden.
Delightful gayness
of like Turbo Lover gets played around here all the time.
Rob Halford and
that is a
Elton
delightfully
John
gay
delightfully
song.
Gay.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's heavy metal. It's guys in leather and studs, but it's more for serious.
Yeah.
Bruce, you're like, oh Bruce, you're putting like you silly person. But yeah, this is rock ballads. Every song kind of does a little thing. These are a bunch of guys that like were into Rush. Like you can kind of tell. This is some very Brett shit. So like as we go through songs, like it's gonna mostly be me talking about how hey, this is this is the kind of music that I listened to when I was in about the 5th or 6th grade that made me pick up a guitar. So this is my, like, this is that cool stuff. And it's delightfully story time.
Yes. Drew, how would you describe this album musically?
I would like to put air quotes on doing it for seriousness, because as I said in the top, kind of comical sometimes, because it's over the top. Like, that's the thing, is like, when there's always the panic of the satanic variety around heavy metal and such like that, it always makes me laugh, because it always, like, stuff like this in that regard doesn't feel serious. I don't imagine these guys are sitting around doing seances. It's fun. This album, you can tell, is by a group of metalheads that just wanted to create cool stuff. This is the album that when you think of Iron Maiden, you think of this album. This is the chunk of Iron Maiden that, like, everybody knows this album. I feel like there's something about this album that,
so the jukebox at the bowling alley.
Yeah,
Yes.
and when it gets put on, like, even the people who don't listen to metal aren't super mad.
Dug. Yeah.
There's a groove to everything. And that's the gallop bass, the, like, drum fills and everything like that, I think are part of that. And part of why, like, it's not offensive. While being offensive. But mostly because there's a little tiny cute devil guy on the cover. And there's a zombie. But, like, it's Iron Maiden.
And they're British. Spooky.
His name's
Right.
Edward. Some respect.
The head word, yes.
But you get the Iron Maiden things here. You get a powerful vocal. This is, you look up power metal vocal in the dictionary, and, like, a Bruce Dickinson just, like, there, like, giving a thumbs up. Like, that's just
From
what
the
it
seat of a
is.
747 somewhere, he's going, hey guys.
With, like, aviators on.
Yeah.
And, like, a IWC watch.
Being a million years old, yes.
Like,
Still singing really well.
yeah. Like, his voice is not, like, usually when you get that old, something about your voice gives up.
We're
But no,
tuned a
For
half
the
a
record.
step down.
For the record, neither has Rob Halford.
that's
For the
true.
record.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something where the thing that I always get surprised by, because you think of, oh, awesome vocal, oh, awesome guitar. The rhythm section doesn't slouch on this record either. So I would not go into this thinking that's all you're going to get. The band is tight from the jump. So
David, how would you describe this album musically?
Heavy Metal 101. I believe that's the best way to describe this. This is about as much of a blueprint for a genre as you'll find during this time period. It's, to use what Drew said about Bruce Dickinson being in the dictionary for power metal vocals, yeah, it's not so much that he's in the dictionary, Bruce Dickinson, but more like he's the architect of it. A lot of this, in many ways, is kind of the framework for what became an entire subgenre of metal. You hear that here. In the same way on, like, Diamond Head, you hear the framework for thrash. It's that kind of album. It's very formative. And you hear what progresses over the next few years with a band like Stratovarius from Finland. And you hear what formed that here.
Ronnie James Dio is what happens when I search for hilarious, and then I click on it and I get a bunch of anime, because god damn it, the internet anime has ruined searching Dio.
Yes. I think it's
JoJo
enhanced
fans
it.
are the worst.
They stole Dio
Yeah, I said
from
it.
us. Like a rainbow in the dark.
Yes.
They're the worst fandom. I don't like them.
Rainbow in the Dark is one of the best songs.
I mean, thinking of rainbows in the dark, like is like that. It's foretelling. Googling Dio and getting a bunch of anime, like.
Yes. Yeah. Iron Maiden is prototypical heavy metal, fantastic, headbanging, leather, denim, studs, sneak, like high boots, ass kicking. They are.
I don't think there was any ass kicking going on with Iron. They're too busy reading history books.
Yeah, sure.
Flying planes. They're dorks. Watching footy.
They're dorks. But everything that came after him kind of like dovetailed from there. But yeah, it's the really fantastic, really crazy guitar work. Bruce Dickinson, in control and out of control with his vocals, because he had amazing tone and control. He just was nuts, and like the songs were like, this provided a great platform for his gymnastics and his like wailing, and you can almost like go to like he's still singing great to this day. When you realize, he didn't really do a lot of screaming. He just hit good notes and had control
and some vibrato.
Vibrato and good technique. They realized, technique, control.
Yes, he was singing.
Yeah, he was hitting that falsetto, like correctly.
It was, okay. Yeah, it's one of those things where you try to, as much as, screaming is fun. Screaming is fantastic, but you have to appreciate, like, solid fundamentals does keep you active for longer. Like,
as much as we love like, you can't every night. Yeah, that's not a sustainable career.
Yeah, no.
You could try to give me some reggae.
We see what happens when you get reggae.
Yes. If you give you some reggae, that's what happens.
Axl Rose's voice is a good example of doing it wrong for too long, and then you can't come back to it. It's happened to Metallica. Deej probably has a list of all kinds of prog bands that just can't hit it anymore. And they tried tuning the instruments down a little bit, try and keep up. They did. That's just not.
Pretty much Genesis. Phil Collins lost it.
Van Halen, both. I think Sammy can still do it, but he just don't live good real life.
Yeah,
I remember way back in the day seeing a video of like an old white-haired lady that was a vocal coach that dedicated herself to teaching the death metal and screamo guys how to not blow out their vocal cords and make themselves sick.
I remember.
Yeah, it went around for a while in the metal and hardcore scenes because all those hardcore punk kids were starting to get into the screaming and stuff, and she was like, "You're gonna ruin your voice if you do that."
Yeah, it's gonna happen right when you get.
That's why there was that era where bands had two singers, where they had the singer and the screamer.
Yep.
that era of emo.
From Autumn to Ashes.
Taking Back Sunday.
That was a metal thing for a while too.
What if you had a hip hopist that was with your heavy metal band like that?
Don't talk about that.
Come my lady. Come my lady.
Drew, you went you overshot where I was going, and I love it.
Yes. Let's get back to. Let's get back to. Let's get back to.
That's great.
Let's get back to the album.
You've always had a peanut gallery as long as you've lived here.
Yes.
It's more prominent when I have
Yes. Let's talk about the key tracks. Let's talk
about the key tracks.
Brett, what would be some of the key tracks to zero in on for you?
Okay, so Children of the Damned, the guitars, the tone early on, the vocals, fantastic. But when the second part of the song hits, and you start getting the there's like a phaser that's on the guitars. It's probably a Phase 90. It's 1982. Everybody was using the same stuff generally. Some fantastic, absolutely fantastic Mega Man harmonized guitar solo. Is fantastic. 22 Acacia Avenue. Acacia need to get some something. It's a sex work story, not unlike Roxanne, or the plot of the movie Pretty Woman, and it's got a little dash of I'm in love with a stripper. Because there's nothing quite like the song of the guy who's going to go save him, a sex worker, when that's not how that works. Yes, but sex work as a theme song was pretty hot in the early 80s. Run to the Hills. You want to hear about Native Americans from the perspective of a British guy with a bass guitar that goes dum 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 dum. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And it is the gallop. Okay, when it comes to Run to the Hills, there are a couple of things that always bring me joy. One of them is like the guitar solo has a wah pedal, but that wah pedal's not going wow 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 the whole time. It's kind of just hanging out somewhere and just like slightly changing it. That's great. But at about 2 minutes and 45 seconds, like as they're rolling back up to probably the final stretch of, I think that is near the end when they are going to hit the chorus one last time, Bruce starts going, he goes low, and he gets it like a certain like Trey Parker doing a singing voice on South Park. It's very like a nasal like low tone, and it makes me giggle every time. Gangland, the guitar solo is harpsichord triplets. Hit that quick. But hallowed be thy name. The Mega Man guitar harmonies come back again. This is God tier tone, and this is literally the shit that makes sixth graders be like, I want to have a white Stratocaster with a black pickguard because that guy from Iron Maiden has one, but it's actually a Charvel. Mine's a Fender, and it doesn't heavy metal very well. But I'm trying. My Marshall, I do not heavy metal, but
you'll heavy metal some, Brett. I know.
It makes me want like. Well, let me tell you, people think you got a JCM 800, you're just going to be like, you're going to be heavy in the metal, and I'm more of a light metal.
Hanging out in Blues Town.
I mean, I've played jazz on this JCM 800 regularly.
Are you a blues man rather than?
I'm a blues, yeah, because nobody would know if I didn't sing it to them in the chorus.
Yes. Drew, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
Key track, every time there's a slushy drink, getting to the bottom is the worst. Okay. But no. The key tracks to me, Invaders, the tone, Brett talks a lot about tone. The tone on the bass guitar to start this album is fucking brilliant. Just brilliant. Children of the Damned, like, going from the first song into that song is the craziest thing because it starts off so slow. It starts off like much more subdued and haunting. So you go from like crazy power metal, what you expect Iron Maiden, to like something a little bit more laid back. And then, of course, Run to the Hills. Run to the Hills is one of my all-time favorite metal songs. Period. End of story. It's great. It's a goddamn classic. If you haven't heard Run to the Hills, like, you need to do yourself a favor. Like, the song is fucking phenomenal.
Yes. David, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
Children of the Damned. Finished strong with a great guitar solo. The Prisoner. I know that, correct me if I'm wrong here, Brett, this was Bruce Dickinson's first album with Iron Maiden.
Yes.
It's before, it was after Paul. Yeah.
When I heard The Prisoner, It sounded like this song was written with somebody else in mind as the vocalist. It sounds more like a throaty, chesty, almost thrash metal song, which really isn't Bruce Dickinson's calling card. But he makes it work, which is a testament to his talent. It just sounds like this song was written with a different singer in mind.
Chris Cornell.
Yes. A young Chris Cornell.
Freddie Mercury.
God, it's wild. I think only 6 years later is when Soundgarden gets formed.
Yeah. Well, and this is like minutes. Like Queen was still hot. We were rocking down to Electric Avenue at the same time too.
Yeah.
James and Lars were like, "Oh, this is really cool. We should do this."
Yeah, exactly. But wait until 1998.
Yes.
We'll call it Unforgiven 2.
Yes. Yeah. The key tracks. I mean, you guys spoke on the songs better than I would, but yeah, Children of the Damned was a highlight for me. The Prisoner, like David said, was a highlight to me. And yeah, Run to the Hills. It's just, especially if you're, say, like, trying to get back into a biking shape, a cycling shape, or like trying to ride your bike around your neighborhood, and you got this in your ears, it's gonna give you that little bit of boost.
It's 172 beats per minute. Like,
yes. And that's how, just like my heart when I was riding.
Oh.
I think I may have cardiac issues. But yeah, those are just so many of the songs had so many highlights. But yeah, the Return to the Hills when you're like riding bike down the road, trying to like, it's just a great motivator. Yeah, let's bring it back around the horn. Talk about some conclusive thoughts. Drew, what would be your conclusion on this album as a whole?
Gotta make sure I'm unmuted. My conclusion for the album on the whole is that it's fucking Maiden. It's hard to say my conclusive thoughts because at this point, you know what you think about this album because you know what you think about this band. You've already made.
They know what they know about Iron Maiden. I think they just know the 3 albums that we've covered. But
and Brett, that's going to go into my conclusive thoughts.
Yeah. Sorry, these are your thoughts. I'm interrupting.
Well,
we're old. We have opinions about Iron Maiden. I don't know what our audience has to say.
Yes.
That's fair. If you haven't heard of Iron Maiden, the hell is wrong with you? But also, go listen to some Iron Maiden.
God, to listen to Iron Maiden for the first time? Yeah.
Like, what would be listening to, like, I've never heard of this Iron Maiden. Who is this deceased Edward fella? Like,
that's right.
What is this? Weird.
Yeah, it's an
awesome.
exciting moment.
Fucking great. This album's fucking great.
David, what would be your conclusion on this album as a whole?
Said on the last episode how much I enjoyed AJ Tracy's self-titled debut and how much I enjoyed the second half of the album. But I forgot to say that I thought the first half of the album was pretty solid too. Yeah, I'm sorry, but the album really doesn't kick in for me until the songs that everybody knows, and I don't like doing that. It's like saying, yeah, the songs on Thriller that I really like are Billie Jean and Beat It. Like, come on, man. Come on. But first 4 tracks, they're just kind of there. It's not crazy, stupid fast. It's not doomy and groovy anywhere. It doesn't have any real springs the way that some of the Judas Priest albums I really liked had. It is a very standard metal album, and it just had very little spring for me. So, Brett, I'm going to ask you, what is Iron Maiden's best album in your opinion?
Oh, I love Power Slave because it opens up with Aces High, and boy, did the voices go with it. No, I like Power Slave mainly because like for one, it has a song about like it. I like long songs that have a ballad about immortality being not what you actually want. Rush did a good one. Iron Maiden did one. Pretty good times. But
We did one of those too.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of that. And you know, I always think it's hilarious when Bruce starts singing about airplanes because he's just like, you say write what you know.
Yes.
All right.
He's popped into Flight
while
Simulator.
I do not love this album, I will listen to Power Slave.
Oh, that's that. Even though you may not love this album, Iron Maiden will be okay. Their feelings should not be hurt. I will apologize to them directly.
I don't know. They're
offended.
really hurting for money. Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
I'll listen to Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. That one's good. I enjoyed that one. Just this one,
Yeah. This is a lot of beginnings for Iron Maiden, and it's, you can kind of see that. But yeah, it's just a kind of fun foundational metal album. There are some fun tracks. There's some fun like moments, and some just like engaging heavy metal. And it's as we've concluded, that there are other albums that you probably want to go to first, but we've covered them. So and you can go back to our episode where we talked about Power Slave and our thoughts on that. But yeah, this is still just a fun record, and there's a reason it succeeded. It has a couple of hits, and it still hangs. It still hangs there. But yeah, Brett, last but not least, what would be your conclusion on this album as a whole?
Okay, so Spinal Tap. This is Spinal Tap came out in '84. Okay, just double check, trying to get the parody before. Holy crap! But no, this Brett shit. Like, I like it. Duh, it's my kind of shit. And like, yeah, it's good. They're a successful band, and my opinion is. But I would really, I hope, I wish I lived in the world where like replacement level heavy metal was this. If this was the baseline, if this was like the standard, boy, man, what have I been doing with all this garbage? I must be the unluckiest heavy metal listening tour in the world, because this is a lot better than some of the stuff I put in my ears, and I put bad things in my ears a lot. This is not one of those things. Like this is a good thing. This isn't Boogie in your butt. This isn't Hulkamania rapping at you. This is good music. So I liked it, and I almost thought about bringing Power Slave a second time to see if I could get away with it.
Seventh Son. That's the one.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are our thoughts on Iron Maiden's Number of the Beast. Now
it's a human number.
Yes.
As opposed to those dog numbers.
Yes. Or those space numbers. Those are our thoughts on them. Now we get to the main event of the evening, the moment we've all been waiting for, our haiku reviews, where we sum it all up in poetic form with the 575. Pretty fantastic stuff. Let's get down.
What we call it. That's what it is. Pretty fantastic stuff. Put it on the can.
Hey,
all right, brother.
I'm all right. I'm just.
You good?
I'll tell you when I've had enough.
Petey,
he's having the Rubia.
You're not supposed to drink when you're the host.
You're
drinking.
Don't tell him how
enough.
to live his life. He's an adult.
I'm an adult.
Not when you're the host. Do you know how many times I've been intoxicated on this podcast? But never one of my own.
Every one of them.
Didn't stop Richard Dawson. Didn't stop Richard Dawson. Neither did consent, but that's an entire different story. those are thoughts. Now we get down to the nitty gritty. Haiku numero uno. Drew, what is your haiku?
I just realized I lost my haiku.
Ah,
Brett. No, Petey, what is your haiku?
Got it. I found it.
oh, you found it?
Yeah.
Is it a complete 575 or is a 5-7 incomplete sentence with like a syllable and a half? Spit some
I did
bars.
not write this in 24, 36, 82 iambic pentameter. I am not.
Whatever Kaz did, like I need to go back and hit that
36,
poetry back
24,
up.
36,
The whole ass
35,
sonnet that he wrote about.
Yeah, it was Beowulf written in
Yeah.
front of us.
Oh,
I've
God,
only
we'll
seen
never
Kaz more drunk than that once, and that's when he was doing shots on death with Curly over Portal 2 multiplayer.
Yeah.
Always
I-
well prepared. As
I've
Yes.
seen Kaz be in the same room as Deej.
yes, you have.
And Petey was there too.
Yes.
It was a good time.
Oh, I miss those
COVID's
times.
over. I gotta make that happen.
Shenanigans in Chicago that I never thought would get up to.
Yeah.
Oh,
Pizza was
man.
involved.
Chicago's
Yes.
great.
Cartwheels.
Jason is great.
Lou Malnati's.
In Star Trek.
Powerful metal from legends in the genre will always be great.
David, what is your haiku?
Influential? Yes. A Blueprint metal album, but it's nothing more.
My haiku. Fun headbangers from heavy metal heavyweights. Throw your horns up high. And last but not least, Brett, what is your haiku?
A bunch of ballads. Guitar tone I love deeply. I eat this shit up.
Yeah. I drink your milkshake. Yeah, those are our thoughts on Iron Maiden's The Number of the Beast. You can of course find this album on our Spotify playlist. Play Record Breakers the home game, or check out Record Breakers the playlist. We have two of them now because it was easier that way. One of them has the episodes interwoven, at least the last 300. One of them is just the albums. Up to you. We have both linked in the show notes for you to follow, for you to check out. But yeah, on that Spotify playlist will be next week's record, and it'll be provided by Drew. Drew, what have you got for us next week?
Well, I think I'm going to go with something that, while the artist is controversial recently, this album, I think specifically, had a lot of influence in the genre that it plays in. I'm going to go with 2004's album, The College Dropout. That old Kanye.
The old Kanye.
I have a sticker around here that proclaims that it misses the old Kanye. So
Yes. So look forward to that, but that'll be next week, and this is this week.
It's me.
And yes.
Everything after Dark Twisted Fantasy is back.
Yes. You can of course find us all over the internet. David is at Call Me DJM. Brett is at HeyBBRD, HBBITYBIBBRD. Drew is at X. I'm at PD Rave. The show's at 4 Record Breakers. That's the number 4 Record Breakers. RecordBreakersPodcast.com. RecordBreakersPodcast@gmail.com. Rebelly.net for this and other shows. Rebelly TV on YouTube and on Twitch. We stream at least 4 nights a week, where we do Through the Tomes, which is our Dungeons & Dragons adventure show, on Tuesdays. We do Record Breakers, obviously, the show on Wednesdays. You can catch us live. We also do Space Trucking on Thursdays.
Hong Kong.
We do Starbound nowadays. It's a fun time with me, Brett, and Daisy.
We're
Round
bound
around.
to the stars.
Yes, extra terraria, as I like to call it. It's a fantastic game. We also do PD plays on Fridays. This week, I'm starting my playthrough of the Danganronpa series.
Ooh, Dragon Grandpa.
So I'm looking forward to that. Not so blind playthrough of the first game, but I'll follow that up with blind playthroughs of the second and third game. But look forward to that. Yeah, check all those things. Follow the channel. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Like, share, do all the things. Hang out with us. Until next time. Hasta los huevos.
I also enjoyed
Ludacris is on this album.
Luda!
And the side mirrors flap like a fucking bird.
And Jamie Foxx.
Stop, drop, kaboom, baby, rub on your nibbles. Some call
Diamond
me
Club
Brad.
hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Some call me Mr.
That's still a
Wiggles.
thing.